Hey, how you going? It's Donna here, Free to Be Pet Therapy, and today I'm going to share Nina's story. So this is Nina. She used to be a working dog, and we don't really know too much about her past other than she did come from a farm. Now Nina's owner came to me because Nina seemed to be becoming quite codependent on her. Nina always flinched whenever you raised your hand just to give her a pat. Whenever the owner would leave the house, Nina would end up trying to find somewhere outside to run and hide to. And basically Nina just always seemed like she was on high alert. So Nina's owner just really wanted Nina to feel calm and relaxed and safe. They'd had her for about, I think she said 2 years. No, it was actually 6 years they'd had her for. So since 2019. Okay, so Nina ended up needing 3 sessions, and in the first session, what came up for Nina, there was an emotion of low self-esteem, and that became an issue for her around March 2015. And what I got from that was it was due to the tone of voice that was used towards her. She would have only been very young, not maybe 1 or less than 1, maybe a pup. So wherever she was bred, obviously it was a male that caused the issue, and he obviously spoke to Nina in a not so nice way. And then it was in May 2016 that low self-esteem came up, and this time it was definitely due to his physical and verbal abuse. Then in June 2017, low self-esteem and low self-worth came up, and once again it was due to physical and verbal abuse. So yeah, all these emotions are associated with the heart meridian, which is very much associated with the heart chakra. And what I've found lately, because I've come across this a couple times now during my healing sessions, is that animals that have had their heart chakra affected so much seem to be the one with the most amount of trauma. So once I dealt with the emotions, she basically needed all her major chakras cleared and balanced except for her sexual progression, which is the equivalent of the sacral chakra in a human. And we finished off with the need to call in Archangel Raphael for some healing, and also a bit of an immune boost with a thymus balance. So I think we're starting to get a little bit of an idea on Nina's story and a little bit about her past. It didn't sound too nice. Okay, so then we moved on to session 2, and the emotions that came up for session 2, once again, low self-worth, low self-esteem, low self-confidence. These all came up around the 12th of June 2017, and then a couple of weeks after that, on the 21st, low self-esteem actually come up again, and it was all once again due to physical and verbal abuse. And once again, all these emotions are associated with the heart chakra, so she really needed a lot of healing. For this healing, once again, pretty much all her major chakras needed clearing and balancing, and then she needed Archangel Metatron, who's all about releasing what no longer serves. So I'm hoping Archangel Metatron was able to release all that past energy that she just didn't need anymore, because it wasn't helping her at all and was preventing her from becoming her authentic self. During this healing, she also needed the Flower of Life and the Triple Hologram of Love. So she needed both of those. So the Flower of Life, all about giving her an energetic boost, energy from Mother Earth, energy from the universe, both coming down, coming through the heart, opening out into the energy field, and just sort of really, boosting that energy field for her. Now, another emotion that came up during this session was, once again, it's that same date, the 12th of June, but this time it was a different year. It was more recent. It was in 2021. And this was purely because of the tone of voice that the current owner, used around Nina, because she's just so sensitive from all the past trauma that she had. You raise your voice a little bit and, it really affects her. Okay, then we got to session 3. Session 3 was huge. Now, normally before I do a healing session, I always give the intention that it be done within a certain amount of time, because obviously I can only spend so much time on any given healing. And this time, thankfully, it was a free afternoon for me, but I did forget to intend that. And so this healing actually went on for 2.5 hours. It was actually quite exhausting, to be honest with you, just releasing what came up. And boy, there was a real can of worms that opened up during this session. I had never experienced this before prior to doing a healing for Nina. So June 2017, there's that year again. I had to release low self-worth, low self-esteem, and what also came up this time was anger. It came up 3 times over the period of June 2017, and it was all directed towards the owner and the way that it was a male owner, the way that he treated Nina. And it was actually interesting. What also came up was there was an anger felt by Nina for the way that the male spoke to a woman in the house. So whether or not it was his wife or whatever, they might have had an argument, I don't know, but that actually made Nina angry as well. Okay, then what came up was there were a couple of emotions, self-doubt, low self-confidence. So I actually brought up sort of more recently, I think 2023, 2021, and it was all just to do with the way she was being disciplined at home. Like, you know, it's normal. We all need to discipline our pets, and just the tone of voice, you know, if it was just that little bit too much for her, Nina couldn't handle it, and so it really affected her on an emotional level. So yeah, once we released those emotions, what came up next was, excuse the French, but a shitload of ancestral energy came up. Heaps of ancestral energy. I had never ever experienced this before. It was just like bang, 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 one after the other, after the other, after the other, after the other. And I remember thinking as I was doing it, is this for real? And I remember it was just almost as though the healing wouldn't let me leave until I could get through these miasms, basically, which is ancestral energy. So what came up, okay, so from the mother's side, there 7 generations back, there was anger and low self-esteem. 5 generations back, you had low self-confidence, low self-worth. 4 generations back, low self-esteem. 5 generations back, low self-esteem. 5 generations again, there was anger twice over, so probably 2 separate incidences. Then there was 6 generations back, low self-worth. 5 generations back, low self-worth. 4 generations back, low self-worth. 5 generations back, low self-worth. 5 generations back, self-doubt. 4 generations back, self-doubt. 5 generations back, low self-worth. 3 generations back, low self-esteem. 3 generations back, we had low self-confidence, low self-worth and anger. 2 generations back, we had anger and low self-confidence. And then 1 generation back, there was low self-esteem, low self-worth, low self-confidence, anger, self-doubt, insecurity. So that was all on the mother's side. And then we had the father's side, all from 1 generation back. There was low self-worth, low self-esteem, low self-confidence, and self-doubt. So I was like, wow, there's a lot there. And I think the reason why there was that ancestral energy, I would say that Nina came from a long line of farm dogs. And I think back in the day, you know, these type of dogs weren't treated like pets. They were purely work animals, and I guess if they couldn't do the work or whatever, they just weren't treated with the love they deserved, basically. So then what came up after that, after releasing all that ancestral energy, was some negative beliefs came up. It was all around March 2016. Negative beliefs usually come about from being picked up by the human. So they were picked up by a male. It was March 2016. And the negative beliefs were associated with scarcity consciousness, self-pity, and self-suffering. And that's the thing with our beautiful pets. They can absorb our emotions, especially if they're repressed. And obviously this farmer must have been going through some struggles, which brought about the self-pity, you know, the self-suffering, scarcity consciousness. Maybe, you know, it was a year when the crops weren't good, whatever. Our animals pick up off this. And then it's like, I have a saying, as is within, as is without. And it's like your own frequency attracts and creates your external world. And so if you've got these negative beliefs inside you, they affect your external world. So having negative beliefs such as scarcity consciousness or self-pity or self-suffering, I mean, you think about what is that going to create in your life. And so you think about these negative emotions and you think, what is that going to create in your life? And if our animals pick it up, what's that going to create in their life? So yeah, after all that ancestral energy, getting rid of those negative beliefs, the emotions, all the rest of it, once again, she needed the flower of life and the hologram of love to give her that boost again. There was a 6-day download, and then pretty much all of her major chakras, except the sexual progression, which is the sacral, the equivalent of the sacral chakra, all of them needed clearing and balancing. And she needed her oversoul minor chakra cleared and balanced, which is how she is connected to dog spirit, basically. So that's pretty much where the session ended, and I was or basically I found out there were no further sessions needed after that session. So it was like, oh, cool, it's so cool to release this stuff for her, you know. And I let the owner know, and was so happy that I was able to release that, thinking, wow, she is going to change with all of that stuff, you know, no longer in her system. She's no longer carrying this heavy baggage around. And I actually spoke to the owner today, asking, it had been 4 weeks since I'd done the last healing, and just sort of asked how Nina was going. And unfortunately, there hasn't been too much change. She's noticed some very subtle differences. Like, for example, now she's not quite as codependent sometimes, or she might not flinch sometimes, but she said there hasn't been much change at all. So it was kind of really disheartening, to be honest with you. I thought after releasing all that stuff that, you know, Nina would almost be like a brand new dog. But like the owner said, there's a lot of deep trauma that needed to be released, and so there is a lot there. And, you know, she was really nice about it, and just explain that, you know, this stuff might take a while. So I'm going to catch up with her in a couple months and see how Nina's going. But yeah, you know, energy healing, sometimes you can't predict sometimes how it's going to roll. I know in the end of the day, I've released a lot for Nina. So if nothing else, at least when she moves on to her next life, that she's not going to be carrying around all this stuff, and it's not going to affect her next life. So yeah, a bit of a sad note to end the video on, but a good note in the same way, because like I said, her next life, who knows, maybe she'll come back as a, I don't know, what's a really happy dog, a Labrador or something, you know, and just be treated really nice. And yeah, anyway, fingers crossed. That's all from me. I hope you enjoyed listening to Nina's story, and I'm sure I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.